Yeah, go back because he's in my thoughts and prayers today. We're pulling for the Colts pretty hard today, as well as our Falcons. So
there you go. Yeah, I was gonna break out the green, but I didn't get it out yet.
Well, Brant, it's Christmas morning, dude. It's what we've waited for all off season, right? It's time. All the hard work, all the research, all the arguments of the off season all come to the front and the head today, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know, was it just me or did anybody else have trouble sleeping last night, ready for to wake up and open this 7 straight hours of football?
I did not have any trouble sleeping. I slept amazingly last night. I got up way earlier than I should have because just like a kid wanting to see if Santa came, I was up ready to get the countdown on and get going with today. So,
oh yeah.
So, what's the first game in this noon slate that just really sticks out to you that you just can't wait to watch?
Let me pull out. Well, first off, I'm excited to watch the Colts. I want to see the Colts offense, but that is definitely not the one that really jumps out at me. It's the revenge game. Baker going against Cleveland. That's the game that really sticks out.
Baker against Cleveland. So you're a big fan of the revenge game today, then, huh?
I am. I don't know if maybe I'm hoping it's Baker comes out, beats him. And maybe, it's a thread that Seattle could beat Russ. Maybe that's why it's sticking out to me.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, you obviously got the other revenge game, too, there with the Jets taking on the Ravens with Joe Flacco at the helm. And obviously, or honestly, in my personal opinion, it makes the pass catchers in the New York Jets offense a little more intriguing this week than even potentially I would feel if Zach Wilson was still playing. So it looks like we got our first question, Brant. We've got Eric K asking MVS or Olave.
Let's see. Kansas City gets Arizona, and Olave has Atlanta. You got a banged up Michael Thomas. Yes, he is playing. Still thinking he's going to take some love. I want to lean MVS. I think that game's going to be a shootout. A lot of points being hung up. Buda's really the only threat there for Arizona's secondary. So I'm leaning MVS on this one, and I'd like to see how they really work this rookie in.
Yeah, I'm definitely, Brant, just kind of like you mentioned, I want to wait and see how this rookie class, unless I'm in a spot where I absolutely have to play one of these rookies, I'm waiting, I'm holding out on them as long as I can, or at least till week 2 and see what that offense looks like. First of all, I'm going to say I think Jameis Winston has a pretty good game today. Our secondary in Atlanta, with the exception of A.J. Terrell in the past, has been as soft as Charmin. So very interesting, but we'll see what that looks like. I'm probably leaning MVS just to go with Patrick Mahomes there against Arizona. Absolutely. Again, it's in the dome, no weather elements to worry about. I'm leaning MVS on that one.
Okay, absolutely. Morning, Scott. Good to see you.
Oh, Corbin Fair, Deontay Johnson or Ayuk or Tyler Boyd in half-point PPR.
All right, let's run that.
Well, I'm gonna jump in on this one, Brant. First of all, this one's very clear cut to me. All right, Deontay Johnson's got that AC joint issue, shoulder. He falls on that shoulder hard one time, he's done. Tyler Boyd, very, very crowded with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon should have a pretty good game today. I'm leaning heavily on Brandon Ayuk. Trey Lance doesn't have George Kittle today in Chicago. Granted, it's going to be 69 with rain today at kickoff in Chicago, but I'm definitely leaning hard towards Ayuk in that one. That's my opinion. I think the reports in the offseason were that Trey Lance and Ayuk were really, really building that chemistry, and I look for Ayuk to have a pretty good game today.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning Ayuk in that one. You hit the nail on the head with Johnson being a little banged up, and Tyler Boyd. So many weapons out there in Cincy. So yeah, definitely leaning Ayuk in that one.
Yeah, pretty much consensus there.
Now, Finley, we were already talking first thing this morning on this question here because I know you are a diehard Kittle owner in fantasy. So why don't you go ahead and take this one here?
Yeah, so anybody who owns George Kittle's kind of getting used to this pivot play, right? Like, Kittle's not playing this week. What's new? Let me go look at the waivers. Let me see who's on my bench. I feel like I'm pretty lucky in the situation. I get to sit him in favor of Cole Kmet in the same game. So, pretty excited about Cole Kmet this week. But let's look at this one. We got Austin Hooper, Irv Smith, or Robert Tonyan. So you got two tight ends in the same game there at the 325 game, or you got Austin Hooper, which is also a 325 game. Against the New York Giants. Brant, I'm going to let you take the start on this one and see where you're at, and then I'll see if I agree with you or not.
Oh, I think I'm going to lean. Oh man, this one's tough here. I think
you want me to go first because I've got my answer.
Yeah, I do. I'm sitting there looking.
Right.
I'm so confused too.
So for me, it's Robert Tonyan. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who's got that depleted wide receiver core. You've got two rookies starting with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. No Allen Lazard today, or most likely no Allen Lazard after not playing or practicing all week. So it just pretty much leaves Randall Cobb as somebody who he's comfortable with. So he's got to get the ball someplace. Obviously, again, Aaron Jones. I left out probably the best pass catching option there. But I'm thinking if Green Bay is going to stay in this game and have a chance to win, I think it's going to have to be Robert Tonyan who takes on that pass catcher role. That's probably where I would lean. That's
kind of where I was leaning to. Is Tonyan also because like you said, there's really with Lazard not playing, I think it's the best, but that was fun there. I mean, all guys amazing upside for this weekend. I mean, but yeah, I think Tanyan's the way to lean.
Okay, I like that. Ooh, ETN or Sutton, full PPR.
I'm going Sutton. Seattle's secondary is just it's as much as it pains me today is atrocious. It sounds like there's a chance we might be starting two rookies back there. I'm gonna go Sutton. James Robinson's still gonna have somewhat of a role this week in ETN and take off a little bit of work from ETN. So I think Sutton's the start this week.
Yeah, I'm all over Sutton. It seems like him and Russell, that connection's real. It doesn't sound like Judy's even close to being on the same level as Sutton right now. And again, ETN, this is his debut, right? We have no clue what ETN on an NFL level looks like. We haven't seen it yet. And again, James Robinson is cleared to play. He's practiced this week. So if James Robinson plays, it takes away from ETN, in my opinion, and Sutton, the sky should be the limit this week. So I'm definitely going Cortland as well.
Absolutely. Hang on. Let me hit this other comment here. We love Lamar Jackson because he's an amazing running back. Let me go ahead and hit that comment real fast. He's a great running back that you get to start in the quarterback position.
Lamar, we've said this over and over again on our Dynasty podcast. Lamar Jackson is amazing for fantasy football for himself. He's just not great for anybody with the exception of Mark Andrews. It doesn't work well for his pass catchers. Don't know why that is. I'm not gonna hate on the man too much, but the contract dispute that's happened all offseason about him wanting Deshaun Watson guaranteed money just seems like a thing. Hopefully he comes out and balls out this year and proves both the FatBoyz wrong. I know one of us FatBoyz has a lot more invested in the Ravens offense than the other. I just get to sit back and laugh at Lamar Jackson when he takes off for a 30-yard touchdown run with a wide open pass catcher in the back of the end zone. So
absolutely.
All right, back to the Michael Thomas versus Hunter Renfrow one. Brent, this is another one. I think that Raiders offense is going to, especially week one, brand new wide receiver that we went out and traded for. I think they're going to try to pepper him with targets early and often to show why they wanted him, to make him, the focal point of the offense. However, I still think I'm leaning Hunter Renfrow on this one just because I don't know what I'm getting out of Michael Thomas. What's it been, a year and a half plus since we've seen him play? Don't know how he's coming off that injury. It sounds like it's been nagging, obviously. It's kind of come down to the last minute with whether or not he'd play. I think I'm shying away from him. Second of all, I am going to throw a little bit of homerism out there. A.J. Terrell, in my opinion, is a top 3 corner in the NFL. And if A.J. Terrell stays with Michael Thomas, I think Michael Thomas has a fairly quiet game.
Absolutely. I think they're going to work Thomas in very, very slow with coming out this week. And I'm leaning Renfro on this one. Also, they're going to still use him in the red zone. He's still going to be Carr's go-to guy on third down situations, I think. So Renfro, I think, has the higher upside.
Ooh, Ertz or Albert O in Denver. Brant, take us away. You're bigger on Ertz than I am, so take us away on this one.
Ertz is still questionable. It sounds like he's going to suit up. So he's kind of a toss up in the air if he's going to play or not. As much as I want to say Albert O as being a homerism for, being a Springfield grad here in Illinois, I think I have to lean Zach Ertz. We already know Rondale Moore's out this week, so I think Ertz will get a lot more, a little more love than Albert O.
Yeah, I think I'm on board here as well. As much as I love Albert O, I'm leaning Ertz this week. Again, no DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, no Rondale Moore, as you said. I'm leaning Ertz here. Let's see. If Dobbins sits, need two of these in PPR: Jalen Tolbert, Josh Palmer, George Pickens, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Irv Smith. Well, I'm going to go with the first one that's pretty obvious to me, and that's Josh Palmer. I really like Josh Palmer going into this season there in Los Angeles. Think he takes a step forward, definitely a deep ball threat, opposite of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I'm rolling with Josh Palmer as the obvious one here for me. Brant, where are you at?
Josh Palmer's definitely the obvious one, I think. And I think I'm going to lean Pickens. Pickens showed in the preseason that he is going to come out. He's going to contend to be that number one guy. With Johnson being banged up, Pickens is probably going to come in and play the start as a 3, but I could slowly see him working his way to the 1 in one game. So, yeah, I'm going to lean George Pickens and Josh Palmer this week.
I think I'm actually going to, I almost kind of hate to hear myself say this, but I'm leaning Wan'Dale Robinson. He ran with the ones all off season. He sat when the ones sat in preseason. This is a guy that, when he gets the ball in space, he can make things happen. And I think there's going to be a lot of design plays to get the ball in his hand this week. So I think I lean Wan'Dale Robinson. Wouldn't be upset with Pickens either, but I think I'm leaning Palmer and Robinson if I had to pick between the 4 of those names there. Or 5, Tolbert, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
CEH or Kareem Hunt, Brant? For me, I'm going CEH. Okay, listen, I know there's been the offseason hype of Isaiah Pacheco. Ronald Jones had his moment in the sun after he was traded where it may have been him. Jerick McKinnon's still there. I don't know if at the end of the season I'd feel the same way I do right now, but to start out for the year, I think CH is still going to be the one in Kansas City. He's going to get his opportunity. I'm still leaning CEH.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean CEH also. I think that if Cleveland wants to stay in the game, they're going to have to ground and pound, and we all know that that's Nick Chubb's go-to, so I see him getting most of the love this week. So, yeah, I'm definitely leaning CEH this week.
So Hawkinson or Tanyan, also 0.5 PPR. Hard for me to start Robbie when he had all that tier. Okay. So Hawkinson or Tanyan, Brant. I mean, this one, I think this one's probably pretty clear cut, but I'll let you take the lead on this one here.
I'm taking Hawkinson. That game's going to be more pass happy with both offenses. I think Hawkinson has the higher upside. I'd like to see Tanyan get more involved coming back from the injury. So, yeah, I'm leaning Hawkinson on this one.
Yeah, I think it's definitely Hawkinson as well. I think, if you didn't have a better option than Robert Tanyan at tight end, I'd feel safe starting him this week, again, with the absence of other pass catchers in Green Bay. But if I have Hawkinson as an option, that's who I'm starting. Outside of tight end, who gets the most targets today for Green Bay with Lazard out? Well, it's week 1. It's Sammy Watkins, right? I mean,
yes, week 1 Watkins.
Sammy Watkins comes in, does Sammy Watkins things, then is irrelevant for the rest of the season. I mean, that's how this always plays out, right?
Just remember, if you own Watkins, make sure you try to trade him after this week because you won't get anything after this week.
It's Aaron Jones in Green Bay for me. I think Aaron Jones leads this week with targets pretty clearly. We'll see. I mean, I'd like to see one of these rookies step up, Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson, but I think it's going to be Aaron Jones. I wouldn't be shocked to see Aaron Jones be the leading pass catcher of this team at the end of the season, let alone week 1.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely they're going to lean on those running backs hard today.
Oh, so we got the former MVP and Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson on the team. Who do you think I should start at quarterback? Brant, as the expert Seattle guy, the expert on Russell Wilson, we'll let you take this one, and we'll see where your thoughts are.
I lean Russell. Russell has the rushing upside. He's going against Seattle. He knows that secondary. He's got more weapons out there than Aaron Rodgers will. I think that Russell's going to come out and air the ball out and prove Seattle wrong for letting him go.
Yeah, again, it's a revenge game. This one would be a fun problem to have because I think both these guys are going to finish up there in the MVP votes again. Aaron Rodgers finds a way to get it done even without wide receivers there this year, potentially. But I think this week I'm leaning against the better matchup, and that is Russell Wilson against the Seahawks, as odd as it is to say that. Jason Helm asks, CEH or A.J. Dillon? A.J. Dillon.
Dillon.
I think you see a very strong two-headed monster there in Green Bay this year. I think Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon will be on the field a lot together this year. And I do think A.J. Dillon is significantly better running back than CEH at this point. So A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
How about Lance or Hurts? Leaning Hurts until Lance proves himself. You said it right there. Until I see what Trey Lance is capable of. I mean, I think Trey Lance is going to be very exciting as the season wears on, but it may take him a while to get to that point, especially missing George Kittle potentially this week. I'm leaning Hurts as well. He's got that shiny new target in A.J. Brown. Let's see how those two look together. I'm leaning Hurts.
Yep, Hurts all the way. I think Hurts finished top 3 this week, so I'm leaning Hurts too.
Oh, I knew this one was coming. So I'm sitting Cordell Patterson in the one league I own him this week, just because of the simple fact that, one, he didn't play in the preseason, but Cordell Patterson's the type of guy who he could hit a home run at any given point. Obviously, he did it several times last year in an Atlanta uniform, best year of his career fantasy-wise. If you don't have any better options, this is one that I'm not uncomfortable playing. I'm just sitting him this week in favor of Ramondre Stevenson and Travis Etienne, if that tells you where I'm at in my mind. So,
yeah, I'm not trying to risk it with him this week. Unless he's a must start that I have to, I'm not risking it with Patterson. I'd like to see what happens with that offense.
Absolutely. Mike Evans or A.J. Brown? We just got done talking about Jalen Hurts, so why don't we start on that side? How do you think Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown look this week, Brant?
Oh, man. I honestly, I don't know really how they're going to look. I would lean this one. I'm leaning Mike Evans because I think Godwin will be on a snap count. But, yeah, A.J. Brown in that offense, I'm excited to get to see it. I just don't know how much Hurts is going to spread that ball out because he has Brown, Goddard, who he loves, and Smith, who he's had last year. So, yeah, I'm leaning Evans for this week, and I could probably be changing my tune real fast. But,
yeah, Tom Brady, no Gronk. Who's the red zone target? Is it Julio? Is it Mike Evans? I mean, Chris Godwin. How much Chris Godwin do we see? Is Chris Godwin on a snap count? Does he play a full game? I don't know. I'm leaning Mike Evans this week as well. Brant, you and I have talked Mike Evans up pretty big in redraft formats. I think Mike Evans could be a top 5 wide receiver after this season finishes.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. Oh, last one in another league. 2 quarterbacks, Fields, Mills, or Mariota. I think the obvious one's Fields. So it's 2 quarterbacks. So you want, if it's got to be 2 out of these 3, I probably lean Fields and Mariota just with Mariota's rushing upside. The weapons that Mariota has to throw to are a little better at this point than what Davis Mills has in Houston. You've got Drake London who should play, and then you've got the unicorn Kyle Pitts and then Cordero Patterson. If I have to start two of these three, it's probably Fields and Mariota for me.
Yeah, that's rough being your three quarterbacks. But yeah, I think I'd lean Fields and Mariota also. Houston's going up against Indy, and they definitely don't have the weapons that Mariota does have.
Yep. Oh boy, AJ Green, Devontae Smith, Kareem Hunt, or Tyler Boyd needs one for flex. Again, I feel like this one's probably more on the obvious side for me. With AJ Brown in town, Devonta Smith should be drawing the number 2 corner. Last year we saw him with the number 1 corner every week. I think I lean Devontae Smith here in this one. Where's your head on that, Brant?
I'm leaning Devontae Smith. I've been going back and forth in our dynasty about starting him too, but I think I have to ride it. He has that developed connection with Hurts. So yeah, I think Smith is the guy to go with here.
Okay. All right. So
Lamar Russ.
I'm starting Lamar this week. Guy just coming off and saying no more contract discussions. He said all off season, as soon as that season comes around, he didn't get the deal done. I think he's going to be out for blood and to prove himself why he wants that guaranteed money. I think he's going to show at week 1 big time. Again, this is a great problem to have because either one of these guys I'm extremely comfortable with. Honestly, you might settle this one by a coin flip, and either way, you're probably not disappointed. I expect both these guys to have huge weeks.
Absolutely. I think you do settle it with the coin flip. I would lean Lamar. Just because of the rushing upside, and they are playing the Jets. So, yeah, I'm leaning Lamar, and that's a good problem to have there.
Yes, it is.
Lewis, I'm gonna come out and read it. And Amari Cooper, Josh Jacobs, and I'm gonna say I'm sorry that these are your choices. Unfortunately, I don't mean to be mean about it. Amari would be a great one if Watson was there. I lean Josh Jacobs in this one.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for this one week 1. I think Josh Jacobs is going to come out with a big role, obviously. I think Zamir White eventually cuts into that a little bit, but it's going to take some time, right? This is a rookie versus a guy going into his 5th year in the NFL. I'm taking Josh Jacobs pretty clear cut here. I think he's going to have to be the focal point of that running game for the first couple of weeks, whereas Amari Cooper's got Jacoby Brissett. I'm leaning Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Here's another one that's near and dear to my heart. I've been a McCole Hardman truther for the last several years where the truth hasn't been so good. Renfro, St. Brown, or Hardman flex full point PPR, I assume. Where's your head at here for George on this one, Brant?
St. Brown. You know me. I've been a St. Brown guy. I traded for him this offseason. I love St. Brown. He's Goff's go-to guy there. And for now, he's Goff's go-to guy when the play breaks down, which seems to be quite a bit in Detroit. So I'm leaning St. Brown on this one.
Yeah, if Jamison Williams is starting the season healthy, I might think twice about this one. But, DJ Chark, newcomer to the team. You got Hawkinson there as well and Swift. But I think initially it's going to be the St. Brown show. He's probably going to pick up right where he left off to start the season. So I probably lean St. Brown in this one. But the argument could be made for Hunter Renfrow. Again, I think Hunter Renfrow's volume goes down this year. But I think the value of the volume is better this year than it was last year. But I think this week I probably start St. Brown.
I hope so. I hope
who knows
so
at this point? Yeah, I do too. I mean, in our Fantasy Holics Dynasty draft that we did at the beginning of this offseason, that's who I got as my quarterback 1 on a super flex. So I'm banking on it. Again, I think when Kittle's healthy and he's got his full repertoire of pass catchers with Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle, I think it'd be hard to say no. But obviously this week we're starting, he's starting against the Bears on the road in Chicago at Soldier Field, 69 degrees and rain at kickoff. That doesn't bode well for, relatively new starter, obviously going to his 2nd year. He had a couple starts last year. I think I'd be hesitant this week But let's see where he's at in 5 weeks or 4 weeks from now. I think the answer will ultimately be yes, but not this early.
I'm trusting him to roll this week, so let's hope it's right. Michael Thomas or Travis Etienne, PPR, full point.
It's Etienne for me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Michael Thomas is banged up. Both of them obviously missed last season. Etienne's a little younger. It probably should be a little easier for him to come back from an injury. I think I'm leaning Etienne on this one. I'm not even leaning. I think I'm full tilt on Etienne over Michael Thomas in this one.
Yeah, give me Etienne. I think Etienne gets to work in both the rushing and receiving game. So, yeah, give me Etienne.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to set this one out, Brant. This is you.
Yes, he is. I think Lamar comes out, and with no contract getting done, I think Lamar comes out and shows that he can throw the ball. And I think today's a coming out party for Bateman. I really, really hope I'm right. I have invested a lot in Bateman. I love Bateman, and I think that this is a good year for him. And I think that I think Lamar playing the Jets gets the chance to throw the ball around a little bit.
My one hesitation to this, and I'm not going to speak on Bateman because you're a lot higher on him than I am, but Sauce Gardner, right?
Yes.
I mean, I assume that's the matchup this week. So, if Sauce comes out and dominates, it'd be really hard for me to get on board with Bateman. But again, Sauce is relatively unknown as far as, he wasn't targeted in the preseason. So who knows? Okay, Lewis, what are your thoughts on AJ Green for this week? Main target for the Cards. What do you think about Chiefs defense? I mean, obviously, I think Hollywood Brown's probably going to be the main target, right? This is another one where it's a shiny new weapon. We're gonna pump the volume on him. Chiefs defense doesn't scare me now that Honey Badger's gone. I think that secondary could be exposed. I don't know if Kyler Murray's the one to do it. I think AJ Green could be really valuable red zone target as a potential maybe flex if you're in a deep league or whatever. Brant, if you had AJ Green as a possibility of somebody you had to play today, where would your feelings be on that?
It would have to be a real deep league. AJ Green is a value pick, I think, in DFS. Maybe you can get him cheap, but I don't think I'm going to roll him out in my lineups this week. We saw how much Zach Ertz got when everyone was banged up last year. And I really think – I know Zach Ertz is banged up, but he seems like he's leaning towards playing. So if Ertz plays, I think it's an Ertz, a Hollywood Brown, and James Conner show. I really don't know where the love is going to come for A.J. Green.
Okay. Oh, Paul asks, I've got another league where I have Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers. It's a hard one to pick, though. Again, this is another one that it's a great problem to have, right? If you're in a league where you've got two top end talents to start, for me, I think it's a division matchup in both cases. Both of the two better teams in both divisions. Well, I guess probably not with the Steelers so much as what they were in the past. But I do think you start Joey B here. The weapons are just too good, whereas Aaron Rodgers are a huge question mark this week. Burrow's got Chase. He's got T. Higgins. He's got Tyler Boyd. He's got Joe Mixon. I think it's Joe Burrow. But I also think Joe Burrow replicates what he did last year. Maybe slight regress on the touchdowns, but I think Joe Burrow has another huge year.
Yeah, I think you lead Joey B. He helped carry you most teams last year. So yeah, Joey B is the guy that I'm going to lean on. But that's like you said, that's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. Oh, Josh coming in, throwing out questions here as he's helping us run this thing. CEH, Renfro, or Stevenson in half-point PPR. A lot of shares in CEH, I will say, coming in questions on CEH. For me, in a half-point PPR, I think I lean Stevenson this week. That's again, the Pats are in Miami, 88 degrees, about the best weather you're going to have this week outside of a dome. But I like Stevenson this year a lot. Brant, help me out here, because now that I'm saying this, I think Stevenson's going to be the season play out of these three. I don't know about week one. Where's your head at on these three week one?
Week one, I'm leaning Renfro. One of the highest scoring games on the slate this week. Lots of passing yards coming out. I'm going to lean Renfro. I think I think that game gets high scoring, and I think you just start seeing a back and forth. And Stevenson still has to come out in the season and prove that he's the one. So, yeah, I'm leaning Renfro.
Okay. Yeah. Any of these three, I'd be okay with week one. Again, I think I'm going to change my answer here. I'm going to pivot and say either CEH or Renfro. I think season, though, I think Stevenson's going to have the highest upside out of these three. But week one, I think I'm going to pivot and go either CEH or Renfro.
Absolutely.
Breaking news: Dobbins has been ruled out this week. Brant, who was one of your sleepers that you had for this week? Do you remember talking about that on the cast?
Mike Davis
Davis.
Ruled out. Dobbins. I'm over here adjusting my lineup right now. But yeah, Mike Davis is a guy to pivot onto. Be a cheap DFS. They're playing the Jets, so yeah, I definitely like Mike Davis this week.
Yeah, I want to say something too while we got a little break in these comments here. Again, it's week one, so the old adage is you did your draft, you did your research, start your studs week one. I have a hard time pivoting off of the guys that I drafted and who I put high draft stock into week one until I start to see how the season may progress or change over the course of the season. But week one, start your studs. Don't hesitate to start the guys that you drafted for a reason this week. There's been a lot of good questions, and a lot of them aren't really, talking about sitting your studs. But, again, I think week one, people try to get too cute with their lineups, try to overmanage sometimes. And I think it ultimately comes back to bite you in the butt. So if you draft it, like we go back to that question a little while ago that was, had St. Brown in it. I'd imagine out of those three, St. Brown was your highest draft capital. I'd have to go back up and look here at that question. But if you or another good one was there from Frank with AJ Green, Devonta Smith, Kareem Hunt, and Tyler Boyd. Devonta Smith was probably your highest drafted player there. So again, start your studs this week. Don't get too cute with your lineups.
Yeah, it was Renfro, St. Brown, and Hardman. I definitely would lean that St. Brown was probably the highest one there.
Yeah. And again, that's something that what I said on the cast last week, Brant, if you remember too, is don't go all season hanging on to your draft research. Obviously, as the season progresses, things change, and maybe Hunter Renfrow does have a better season than St. Brown. But initially, if I drafted St. Brown higher than Renfrow, that's who I'm starting at least week one, probably week two as well, before I start getting too cute with my lineups.
Yeah.
Oh, Lewis asks, brain twister, AJ Green or Patterson? Then I'm waiting for Godwin and Hopkins to come back. I probably lean Patterson over AJ Green. Listen, for me as a Falcons fan, I've been riding the roller coaster of Drake London all offseason. Unfortunately, not because I was a homer, but I ended up falling with Drake London in 3 of my leagues in Dynasty this year. So I'm really hoping he ends up panning out in the long term. But Patterson should have a pretty good role week one, whereas I'm not sure how AJ Green looks week one. Patterson, in my opinion, is probably going to start out leading the charge in the backfield. Obviously, that could change. Arthur Smith is one of those kind of head coaches that keeps everything near and dear to his chest, doesn't let his cards out until he has to play them. But I think Cordero Patterson showed enough last year that he can be a big help fantasy wise. So if it's between AJ Green and Cordero Patterson, I'm leaning Cordero.
Yeah, I'm leaning Patterson on this one too. Green just didn't do much for me last year, so I just don't see where it's at. But Patterson, I lean Patterson in that one. Godwin being questionable, I might actually lean Godwin over both of them this week if he actually does play. Unfortunately, that's the Sunday night game. But yeah, I'm going to take Patterson over Green right now.
With the possibility of Godwin playing and due to the fact that you've got both of these guys are going to play prior to Godwin, I think I'm leaning Patterson probably to start this week. Just, again, if Godwin plays and Patterson has a lackluster performance, then maybe you kick yourself for that. But you get into that spot where if I sit both of these guys in favor of the questionable Chris Godwin, and Chris Godwin does play and he gets hurt hard on his first catch, or comes up limping after a route or something, then you may end up getting a goose egg there. So I think I'm leaning Patterson just because he is healthy.
Okay.
James asks, Gibson or Montgomery at flex, Brant? Where's your head at on this one? I know where I'm at. I want to see where you're at.
Pains me to say this, but it's Gibson. There's nothing else really barking up his tree. McKissick's still there, but he was there last year. I'm leaning Gibson until Robinson comes back.
Yeah, I definitely like Gibson as well. Paul kind of said it here a little bit later on in the chat, but you've got the San Francisco defense, which is pretty stout against the run. That front seven in San Francisco is pretty gnarly. And again, the offensive line has been a huge question mark in Chicago. I'm not sure they've done enough to shore that up. Whereas Antonio Gibson against the Jags, I think, first of all, everybody's been doubting Antonio Gibson this offseason. If he's heard any of that, he's coming out going, watch this, guys. But without Brian Robinson this week, I think J.D. McKissick has a good role as well. But I think Antonio Gibson comes out and shows, why he's finished as well as he has the last 2 years right off the jump there in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got one. I'm going to throw one out at you while we got a quick little break here. St. Brown or Devonta Smith? You've watched me change my lineup 100 times with that. I've got it set in. I'm just curious where you're at with it.
So it's the same game, fortunately, too. So you get a look at that from that perspective. But I think I'm probably going Devonta Smith. Again, AJ Brown is going to come in and demand the attention of the defense. I think Devonta Smith could have a cleaner passing lanes this week than what he had all of last season. And again, there's already that built chemistry with Jalen Hurts where he had to be the one last year. So I think this week I probably lean Devonta Smith. I'd have to go back and look, but I imagine these guys' ADP was very similar this year.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I know for you and where you're at, again, we start our studs. You had higher draft capital and paid more for Devonta Smith than you did for St. Brown. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you personally, I probably lean Devonta Smith.
Yep, I think that's where I've officially landed my spinning wheel. There is Smith being my starter for this week.
You've got the audience is kind of split here. You've got Paul saying Brown and you've got Lewis saying Smith. So
it's not just me confused.
Well, you're confused about a lot of things, but I think this week you go Smith. But again, it wouldn't shock me if Brown finished better today than Smith. Again, it's interesting because if you play one and then watch that game, Brant, you're probably going to be disappointed. So I just maybe would pick one and then not watch that game, and you might be okay.
Right.
Lewis asks, how are the Saints D looking this year? I think Honey Badger is going to be a huge difference maker there this year. He wants to be there. He's back home in Louisiana, and in my opinion, they get a pretty cake matchup this week. The Saints were one of the better run defenses last year. For as far as IDP things go, I don't want to speak too much on that because I'm not real big on the IDP world. That's our resident in the Fantasy Holics world for IDP questions is definitely Seth. Seth's your guy for that. But as far as a season-long defense for fantasy, the Saints isn't somebody who bothers me tremendously. They get Atlanta twice. They get Baker Mayfield and Carolina twice. I wouldn't mind having the Saints as my season-long defense in a redraft or a dynasty league this year.
Absolutely. I think the Saints definitely finished top 10. I think they put up numbers decently every week. They're going to be one of those teams that you can set it, forget it, and there's very few matchups that they're going to see this year that's going to scare me away from starting them.
Yeah, I agree. Zach Ertz or Robert Tonyan?
I'm leaning Ertz on this one. I know he's banged up, but with Rondale Moore being out, we saw how much love Ertz can get. Tanyan's still coming back from from injury. So yeah, I think I'm leaning Ertz on this one.
It's really the same situation in both these tight ends. Really, they're missing pass catchers around him. Obviously, Ertz is missing Rondale Moore and Hopkins in that offense, so his volume should be better this week than what it would be if both those guys were playing. And then you go to Green Bay. Obviously, Devontae Adams left town. There's no Allen Lazard this week, and again, you've got Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Randall Cobb. So I think both of these tight ends, their value is up from potentially where it was at the end of last season. I think I'm leaning Robert Tonyan in this game, or out of these two, but either one of them, I think you're okay with. Excuse me, and I think you'll be happy with the production. I wouldn't be shocked to see both these guys find the end zone this week. Hold Tom Brady or Jalen Hurts. Blake, again, this is a good problem to have.
Yeah. I'm leaning Hurts. The rushing upside, wait a minute. Tampa Bay plays Dallas. Yeah, I'm still leaning Hurts with the rushing upside. That's really the only difference this week is that rushing upside, because I think Tom Brady's going to hang some points there in Dallas. He is missing some of his weapons, but yeah, I'm leaning Hurts on this week.
Yeah, Brant, you and I have been doing this fantasy stuff for quite a while together, and I've been, saying, Father Time's undefeated. Eventually, it gets everybody right, but I think Father Time maybe, have forgotten about Tom Brady. I don't know what's going on there. Tom Brady just seems to just always be right there. Last year he had one of his statistically best years of his career and didn't even win the MVP. But I think, especially this week with no Chris Godwin, the Leonard Fournette issues, how much are the Cowboys going to have to respect the run game in Tampa Bay? I think I lean Jalen Hurts in this one just because of the aforementioned rushing upside. But again, this is another one that, coin flip it, and I'd be okay with whether it was heads for Brady or tails for Hurts, Josh asks, Wilson or Burrow?
Wow. Another good problem to have there. I'm leaning Russ. I've already said it. I think Russ comes out, and I think he torches Seattle. I like Russ this week. I think there's very few weeks that either one of those guys I could pivot to sit. I think the upgrade of the offensive line there in Cincy is going to keep Burrow from having to scramble as much. So I'm going to lean Wilson with the possibility of rushing yards and getting a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, I think, again, if this wasn't the revenge game, if that was next week, potentially, maybe I'd be erring on the side of Joe Burrow. But I do think Russ comes out, and, I think Russ really, tries to make John Schneider and Pete Carroll regret letting him leave. So I think I go Russ here as well. Again, he's playing behind probably the best offensive line he's ever had in his career. Very capable pass catchers, very capable run game there. I look for Russ, to have a monstrous game this week.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised to see Russ finish in the top 3 QBs this week. I would say 1, but after the performance that Josh Allen put up on Thursday, it's going to be tough to beat that.
Yeah, Brant, again, while we got a little break here and some questions, what do you make of what we saw on the Thursday night game this year? Are you concerned about, Cam Akers, Allen Robinson, and that Rams offense, or is that just how good the Bills are?
I'm not concerned with Cam Akers. I think that was easing him back in, because really Henderson didn't look that great either. I know he got the fair share of the load. I am a little worried about Allen Robinson. I think he had 3 targets, maybe. I don't have it pulled up. I know we're going to discuss that on our cast this week as we recap these games, but Robinson, I'm scared. So yeah, I don't, and the Bills are not the Bills defense. They started 2 rookie corners, and Cooper Kupp was still the only one getting any love. So yeah, I'm definitely worried about Robinson and Akers. I'm not, though. I'm not going to look too much into that. I do think that that's going to be a true committee 50-50 as the season goes on. But him hanging goose eggs is definitely not going to be an every week thing. Where his ADP was, you're not going to get that back from Akers from what we saw.
Yeah, one of the two fat boys, I can't remember which one of them was, said on their most recent podcast that Cooper Kupp may finish outside the top 15 as a hot take. That may be a really bad hot take after watching Thursday night's game.
I don't think you've ever had something bite you in the butt that quick.
that was very quick. I definitely thought Allen Robinson would have a much bigger role than he did. But again, with the Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson thing, I've been for the last couple of years saying I liked Henderson better than Akers. Not that Henderson did anything to write home about, but the volume that was on display between Henderson and Akers definitely makes me think that maybe the Rams see and feel the same way about Akers and Henderson that I do potentially. But again, when you get beat like that, it makes you reevaluate things. So we'll see moving forward. But that was a great game to start the season with. You and I both did go on record and say we thought the Bills would win, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I like that we were right on that. We don't get too many right. It's like a trash can getting a steak. It happens once in a while, just not too often, right?
Absolutely.
Guys, have you seen the Cleveland Browns' first 4 games? Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons. They could be flying in the first month. Yeah, Paul, you're absolutely right. They absolutely could be. I think it all depends on how Jacoby Brissett looks and how well Nick Chubb does running the ball. This is, if you had to start a season without your number one quarterback, this would be about the ideal situation. You're gonna go to Carolina and get Baker Mayfield in his inaugural debut for Carolina. Then you go to the Jets and get Joe Flacco. You get Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh, and then you have Marcus Mariota in Atlanta. I don't know if you could draw that up much better. So Jacoby Brissett isn't really such a hindrance when you're talking about the quarterbacks he's going up against those weeks.
Absolutely. And as far as their defense, streaming their defense, I waited in every single redraft league I was in and picked up the Browns in the last round. First 4 games, you can't ask for a better schedule. The only thing that scares me is week 1. If Baker comes out feeling dangerous, we might be in trouble. But other than that, the rest of those first 4 games ain't scaring me at all for Cleveland. Cleveland could easily start 2-2, 3-1. I think they drop today, but those other 3, I don't know if they'll lose.
Yeah, I agree. Sean Dawson, we got the work connection going here. Leaning towards more of a ground attack in Green Bay with the fresh faces in the receiving group. What's your thoughts? Yeah, I think that running game is going to be huge in Green Bay with the fresh faces. But again, we're talking about back-to-back MVP Aaron Rodgers. He's going to find a way to get it done. He's going to make somebody look real good the first couple of weeks. Who is it? Brant, you and I both talked about we were hesitant on and putting a wide receiver in the top 30, but I do think that's because Aaron Rodgers spreads the ball out this year. There is no Devontae Adams for him to be locked into all season, but I do think, like I said, Aaron Jones, I think he has a huge year receiving this year, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Robert Tonyan creep into the top 10 tight ends either. But yeah, I definitely do think Green Bay may take on a new identity and be more of a run team than they have been in the past, but Aaron Rodgers still finds a way to get it done through the air.
Oh yeah, I think, and they have 2 of the best running backs in the NFL, probably the best 2-headed monster there. And yeah, I do think they lean on that running game, but there's going to be games that they're going to have to air that ball out, and he's going to make somebody look good. Aaron Rodgers always finds a way to make somebody look good. Unfortunately, week 1 it's going to be Sammy Watkins, probably, like we've already said, but the rest of this season, I think he may start looking one person looking good every single week, and it could possibly be a different person. But yeah, they're going to be leaning on the Jones to carry that load this year, and those and Quadzilla to help carry that weight too.
Quadzilla's capable. He's very capable. Thielen or Pollard in PPR? Oh, Brant, this one's. It's Thielen for me. Yeah, it's Thielen for me. I think Thielen especially having Justin Jefferson opposite. He's never going to draw the number one coverage. I think Thielen's going to explode this year. I went and traded for him in a couple of dynasty leagues. This is a guy that I was willing to buy low on because I think people are starting to fade him a little bit just because of what Justin Jefferson does. I think Thielen has a huge week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm leaning Thielen. Tampa Bay's defense still scares me against rushing attacks and running backs coming out of the backfield. So I'm definitely leaning Thielen this week easily.
Oh, here we go. We got another Thielen question. Corey asks, Thielen, Mooney, or Miles Sanders in PPR?
Ooh.
I'm
taking Miles out.
I think Miles is out. I'm probably out on that as well. I know you're huge on the Kenneth Gainwell train this year. They have Trey Sermon now too. Does Trey Sermon get his hand in that pot somewhere? I think Miles Sanders is your clear out. So then for me, as well as you, Brant, it looks like it comes down to Darnell Mooney and Adam Thielen. And for me, I'm going to lean Thielen here as well because, in Chicago, Darnell Mooney's the guy this year. There is no more Allen Robinson in Chicago. Yes, I do think Cole Kmet takes a step forward, but Darnell Mooney's got to be the guy. And again, we've already talked about the 49ers defense. I think they're going to be nasty again this year, like they were a couple of years ago. And we're in Chicago. It's going to be wet. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be 69 degrees, not necessarily cold. But this is a game that doesn't bode well for passing. I think the 49ers front seven is going to be after Justin Fields a lot this game. Wouldn't surprise me to see him be sacked multiple times. I don't know how much time he's going to have to get the ball downfield. Whereas in Minnesota, I think Thielen gets involved, and the weather's not going to play any issues with this game. I think Thielen's going to be the guy here.
Yeah, I'd lean Thielen in this one. I'd like to see that connection with the connection in Chicago before I'm comfortable rolling Mooney out.
Absolutely. Sean, thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, Sean.
First week for doing this. We'll be doing it for the next 18 at least. So look forward to having you back with us. Brant, we got about 8 minutes here. Any thoughts that you've got, that you want to talk about just to round out this week? We've got a good slate of games. Obviously, it's week 1, and there's a lot of divisional matchups this week. There's a lot to be excited about. Is there one of these games, whether it be, the Monday night game, revenge for Russ, is there one game that just sticks out that you just cannot wait to watch?
I'm not going to take that homerism with the Seahawks game because I cannot wait to watch that Monday night. But Kansas City at Arizona. I want to see how Kansas City looks without Tyreek Hill. I want to see if Arizona could be as high-powered as everyone says they can be. So that game is really, really intriguing to me this week. And I think that's where you see a lot of your fantasy implications come out. Kansas City's so young with their wide receiver core and their running back. This is a good chance to look forward to some players for your dynasties.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get some answers out of that game. I think if I was a betting man, I'm leaning Juju as Mahomes' new favorite target with the absence of Tyreek Hill in that offense. And then we should get a pretty good telling sign of how that backfield is going to look the rest of the season. Is CEH going to have, the lead role still, or is one of these other guys going to take over and fill some shoes there? So that's a game where we're going to get some answers. There's a lot of other games where there's some question marks. Obviously, you got the Trey Lance in Chicago. He's the bona fide starter there this year. How does Trey Lance look going into the season, knowing he's the guy? But for me, I'm going to take the homerism. I don't care, and it's not my Atlanta Falcons. I'm very interested to see how Matty Ice looks in those blue uniforms over there in Indy. It's going to be something that pains me to see. But Brant. Indy's going to be my second favorite team this year because, Matt Ryan's a class act. He didn't want to leave Atlanta, but when you had that sloppy pursuit of Deshaun Watson, it kind of forced his hand. And I'm definitely going to be rooting for Matt to have a good year. And I think, that's going to be a game where I think you see a lot of Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor. And then also, I'm really interested to see what Tua looks like with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. I mean, there was all the talk about, Tua not being able to get the ball downfield. How's it going to look with Tyreek being a deep ball threat? I'm not worried about Tua. Tua, prior to his injury and prior to Joe Burrow just lighting the world on fire, you remember everybody's tanking for Tua, and the guy had a great deep ball in college. I think he's going to find a way to put points on the board. So,
absolutely. Two teams that I'm anxious to watch this week is Detroit and Jacksonville, both young teams. New coaching staff in Jacksonville. You get that whole dirty water of Urban Meyer washed away. Give this team a chance. I'm anxious to see how they look. Detroit, you've got that fired up head coach there. I love Detroit, what they're trying to build there. And then the other one I'm really looking forward to is the Detroit Philly game, really, because, well, I have too much stock in Philly. But I'd like to see if Hurts is the real deal or not. If not, they got the mustache savior there backing him up. He can come to Seattle.
Yeah, you've been asking for the jorts in Seattle all offseason. I know that's number one on your list when you go sit on Santa's lap. That's the first thing you're going to ask. So, I think we should be getting a lot of answers to a lot of these offseason questions. I skipped right over one of the biggest things that everybody's going to want to know about, and I think there's going to be a lot of people tuning into that Houston-Indy game because a lot of people are Dameon Pierce, and I'm just not there. Maybe Dameon Pierce proves me wrong because I intend on having that game on in the background while I'm watching my Falcons get absolutely handled by the Saints. But I'm definitely interested to see whether or not everybody's going to be proved right or wrong on that Dameon Pierce is the guy in Houston talk. So, Brant, I want to add too real quick that. I want to say I appreciate everybody jumping into the Q&A, asking us some really good questions. Definitely had the brain pumping early this morning. So I appreciate that. I want to wish everybody luck this week on your matchups. Hopefully all your off-season research and things pan out. But, make sure you give the podcast a listen. We've got some good podcasts going on here on the Fantasy Holics podcast network right now. Josh and AJ with the Flex is a great show. You've got Seth for all your IDP and defensive needs. And then you've got the two fat boys here for your dynasty needs. So Fantasy Holics definitely has you covered as the season progresses. I know, Brant, you and I are both looking forward to being back here again next Sunday as well. This is going to be a weekly thing for us. Obviously, the time change may be a little different based on the schedule. We both got, a plethora of children running around. So, but we definitely want to be a staple of being with you guys on your Sunday morning, helping you get ready for your games.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, no, we're not putting on porn. Nobody wants to see two beach whales go at it. So definitely, guys, check out those podcasts there. Help you get through the week, keep you pumped up for the week. I know every day I got a new one on from the Fantasy Holics. I keeps me in the mood for Sundays and Thursdays.
You had to just bring up the mood after seeing that question come in, didn't you? Since we're talking about porn and things of that nature, let's get on to what excites both of you and I. What's on the menu for today, week one for food here?
Actually, on the menu today, I got okey doked into going to play a volleyball tournament. This fat boy is going to go play volleyball, but I did just read there's going to be multiple food trucks at this fundraiser. So this fat boy is going to indulge in some food trucks that they got out at the bar, and hopefully we're out in the first round so I can sit in the bar and watch all the games. The over under and you being drenched in sweat is probably a minute and a half. You definitely won't be the most athletic guy out there, and I hope you don't pull a fat while you're playing. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, good luck this week. Make sure you're checking your lineups. Watch for those late minute scratches. We got, still got 2 hours here till kickoff. So we know things will be starting to come in here in about the next hour. So pay attention to that. Again, if you've got some borderline flex calls, watch the weather. There's a lot of rain in the forecast for a lot of these different games. You've got rain there in East Rutherford, New Jersey with the Jets and Ravens. You've got rain in Chicago. There's some scattered storms projected for the New York Giants and Titans game. So keep your eye on some of those weathers
rolling in as you're getting ready for your games here, because that definitely could make or break some of these guys' roles. So good luck, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Brant, I'll let you part here.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you have any late-minute questions, we'll do our best to answer all your questions in the messenger. Don't be afraid to hit us up. Like I said, we're going to be back next Sunday. Listen to the cast. Listen to the Fantasy Holics. Post your questions on there. Send us messages. We're always willing to help out. And as always,
stay hungry
and stay fat, my friend.